Yo, what's good, everybody? This is your boy, LaShawn Suga Ray Marston, host of the Suga Ray Show, here with another incredible episode, man. We got a special brother of mine, Brother Kev Horton, CEO, founder of the Nomadd Group, man, an incredible brand, an incredible ed tech company. I'm honored to have him here. I'm honored to talk to this brother. He has so much knowledge. He's doing so much for the people, particularly our young people, man, in New York City, New Jersey, and really throughout the country. So I'm gonna read his bio, and then we're gonna get right into it. Kev Horton is the founder of Nomadd Group, which is a STEM-accredited ed tech and community development startup based out of New York City. Kev is a native New Yorker from the South Bronx. He is a futurist, entrepreneur, and community engineer dedicated to eradicating barriers to economic development through the programs and services his company provides. Nomadd is tech-driven and community-focused, using the gamification of education to reimagine communities. Some of the key focuses are public safety, education reform, bridging the digital divide, and preparing communities to become smart hubs in cities. So, Brother Kev, man, you've done a lot. You're doing a lot, man. How are you? How you feeling this evening? What's going on, brother?
I'm good, man. Feeling good. I appreciate you, penciling me in last minute.
Of course, man. I need you. I need you in this season one. Season one is going quick. All right. We looked at a space recently for season two, which will be live studio audience. We'll bring you back then as well. But definitely want you in season one, because the work that you're doing is extremely important. As we were talking before we went on air, I remember growing up playing video games, playing, the Marios, playing the sports games, playing all of the various games. And, my parents and, other people say, you're playing a game all day. It's not doing nothing for you. You're wasting your time. Right. But that was, 20 something, 30 years ago. Fast forward to now, there are young people who are playing games who are making millions of dollars, changing their family's family tree forever. Right. So thank you for the work that you're doing and getting right to it. How did you get into this work? How did you get into, the gamification of education? How did you get into technology? How did that develop for you? At what age did you start getting into it, and how did that take off?
Yeah, I've always been into tech and gadgets and stuff like that. I could take it back to Nintendo, to the Game Boy. What I'm saying? So like, always been, a gamer. Always loved technology. Right, always been like a student, of things of that nature growing up. But how I got into the tech and esports specifically, a few years back, prior, like really like right before the pandemic hit in like 2019 ish, somebody had reached out to me on LinkedIn. Right, so my name on LinkedIn is Kev the Brand Man Horton. Right.
Nice.
So a gentleman reached out to me. He told me he was a Grammy nominated producer, right? Did some stuff for MTV and some other stuff. And he was actually doing he's gonna do a docu series, right, on all the highest paid esports players across the world.
Nice.
So I was like, he sent me the deck over, and what he wanted me to do as the brand man was to find companies with brands that that could promote their brand within the docu series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if somebody had a t-shirt company and they wanted to promote their t-shirt company, right? There were different calls for different activations. So like maybe one of the kids would wear that person's shirt throughout the 10 episodes for that season, right? So that's kind of how that looked. But yeah, I just got intrigued after that. It kind of opened up my mind because I knew about the esports space. I knew that there were tournaments. I knew that there were people making money, right? Kids were making money and things of that nature. And one of my good friends always played Street Fighter, right? So like I would go to his house and like to go hang out and chill, and like he'll let me in, but once he get on the game, it's like he don't even see me no more. I'm like, hey, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy how like just tapped in he was, and he would buy the Street Fighter joystick controller. You know what I'm saying? And like he would just buy all the gadgets and stuff, not just like wow, he really into it. And then one year he went to a Street Fighter tournament in Vegas, right? and he got his ass whooped. He didn't even win. Like, so I was like, yeah, for me, I was like, man, if he's that good, like, but he's no match for these people that's in the tournaments, right? These people play, he play every day after work. These people probably don't go to work, right? And they play video games, right? So that kind of opened things up. And then when I moved to Atlanta 2 years ago, um, and I was working with well, I went down there to build a smart house, right? To build my own smart house, right? So that was a goal of mine, but the pandemic kind of slowed all of those things down. But there was a company down there called Community, and
Mhm.
they were in the esports space, right?
Nice.
And Atlanta's like the hub for esports. You know what I'm saying? In like 2019, um, Atlanta made esports made Atlanta almost $1 billion, like 980 something $1 million in 1 year, right?
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So like just seeing those numbers, I'm like, this is definitely something I should dive into, right? So I just kind of put the right people around me. I was working with the company down in Atlanta called Community that I was building, and now they have what's called like a HBCU league, esports league,
Mm,
right?
incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So they got like 35 schools. So I was like, I'm gonna come back up to New York and roll it out up here, right? Because they kind of got it on lockdown there.
Nice.
Atlanta's the hub, but New York got way more people. Like, Atlanta's not even as big as Manhattan. Like literally, Atlanta's not big as Manhattan. So I was like, I'm gonna come here and and shake stuff up, for the most part.
Nice. Nice. No, I love that. Thank you for all of that. You mentioned something that, a lot of people, a lot of viewers may not know. What is a smart house? Like when you say you
Oh,
went to build a smart house, what is that exactly? Because I know
yeah,
people hear it as a term thrown around. I
yeah,
pretty much understand it, but I know many people I talk to when I say it, they're like, well, what is that? So can you explain that to us?
got you 100%. So yeah, right now people's houses, like they may have an Alexa in the house, right? Or they may have a Google Home, right? That's like a component to a smart house. But a full smart house, you got to have at least four of your the home capabilities hooked up to a hub, right? So
Mm,
that could be security, that could be your heating and cooling, right? That could be your entertainment, that could be there's something called net zero, right? So basically, like in a regular house, your meter goes forward, right? In a smart house, right? If you are living if you're off the grid, right, you're actually getting energy, right? Let's say if you have if you have panels on your house, right?
mhm.
Solar panels on your house, you're actually bringing energy. You're pulling that energy into the grid, and what they do is they sell that energy to back to the energy companies. So
Powerful.
that's like
Some technical difficulties.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a bit,
You're
but you're here
good. You're
now. I
good.
see you.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's my network or yours. Yeah, so like a smart house, that's basically essentially what a smart house is. Your house hooked up to like it's basically you have access to everything, like the lights, entertainment, the smart showers, smart toilets, the
Nice.
whole 9 yards, basically, right? Your whole entire house is smart. You control the energy, you control all the consumption within the house.
Nice, powerful. So, for those who are apprehensive a little bit about all of these technologies, all of these gadgets, what advice would you have for them? Because there are a lot of people who are like, "Whoa, too much tech is invading our privacy." Sometimes when it's tech operated, it could shut down when they want, and now you really can't do anything about it. Like it's now you can't plug it into the socket, right?
Mhm.
What advice would you have, or how would you, encourage people as they because the whole world is moving that way, whether people like it or not. How do you encourage people to protect themselves or to know that it's safe?
Yeah, well, I mean, we, and I love that question because everybody has smartphones, but
Hmm.
nobody has smart homes,
Hmm.
right? So everything is in your smartphone, right? So you're already absorbing that technology already, right?
Hmm.
But for the people that are a little bit reluctant to jump in, I say start with something small, right? Start with you don't have to go all out. You can build those capabilities for your house on a smaller scale, right? Especially if you already own your house,
Hmm.
right? So you can start with like a Google Home, or start with an Alexa, or start with some, like a security system, or you can start small, see how you like it, and kind of go from there. Um, and like with the advanced manufacturing, things are becoming like things like sensors and stuff like that are becoming cheaper, right? Semiconductors and things of that nature. So you could get stuff at a lower cost. You don't have to break the bank to get certain stuff, right? So you can get something that instead of you can get something that's battery operated as opposed to something that's not battery operated. That's gonna maybe last a little bit longer, but you'll pay less, but you have to change the battery, right? So just stuff like that to kind of think about, as you kind of go. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Jetsons, right? And how before their time things were, but all of those things are here. Air taxis, flying,
Yeah, yeah,
they're here, right? So just that.
yeah. No, I love it. So now, talking about the Jetsons, something that I love that you are not just you call yourself, but a futurist. Like, at what point did you know that you were a futurist, and what does that mean exactly? If you could explain a little deeper than what you just did.
For sure. Futurist is someone that operates and functions with the future in mind, right? And someone that kind of knows what's coming in regards to the upgrades, like smart cities, right? I think I heard Link speak earlier
Yep.
about smart cities, right? And big up to Link Green, right? Um, so you know, that's kind of where things are going. You know what I'm saying? And as far as it being a futurist, it's like, I kind of know and keep my ear to the industry, different industries. Like I'll give you an example, right? One of the things that one of the key focuses of Nomad is basically getting communities prepared for advanced air mobility, right?
Mm,
So what that means is that's the future of air travel and how
mm,
we travel, right? So right now, the FAA, right, and the Department of Defense, who they control the airspaces in the United States, they are basically changing, how we're going to be traveling and the regulations and policies around air travel, right?
mm,
So I spoke about air taxis, but there's companies in California right now. There's a company called Whisk, right? They're on their sixth generation aircraft, right?
wow.
So they have, and this is air taxis. They've been doing this since like 2014, I believe, right?
Wow.
Um, so they have what's called an electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, right? So basically, it's autonomous, right? There's nobody manning and it's also electric, right?
Wow.
So yeah, and that is the same cost of an Uber, right? That's another thing, right? So like that's what's coming, right? To the more urban areas like New York and stuff like that. Like that's why the FAA is changing things. And in addition to that, um, cargo, right? So they're going to be moving people, right? These machines will be moving people, but they'll also be moving cargo, right? So you think about like Amazon, right? You know, they're gonna be delivering you packages, right, via drones, right? Um, Kroger in Ohio, they had a program where they was delivering food via drone, right?
Crazy.
If your order was like 35 pounds or under, right? They did a pilot program in Ohio, and it's funny because that company was actually from New Jersey, right? I also heard Link say a bunch of
Yeah.
people,
Coast.
be in New
East
York,
Coast.
New Jersey, right? East Coast, right? So we run it things, right? So, yeah, they did that pilot, and it's a huge drone. Bring your stuff in the box. Bring all your food in the box. Come straight, right on your lawn, type stuff, right? So that they're basically building that out now, so that can happen in urban environments, right?
Nice. No, I love that. And I never thought of myself as a futurist. However, um, maybe I've been home from prison 16 years. I want to say maybe 12, 13 years ago, when I was thinking about, when I first changed my life, and I was thinking about, like, I was giving food out, right? I was giving food out to people on the trains. And I was thinking, just understanding, all of the wars and all of the things happening around the world. I was like, there's going to come a time when we got to send food and essential items to our family. in other places, than we other cities, other countries, and we're gonna have to use drones. I remember thinking that. I remember saying that to some friends, not really being aware of what was happening technologically wise, but just knowing that the world is changing and it's going to be more restrictions. We got to find a way to transport goods, money, and things like that. So that's powerful. And it makes me also think, you spoke about California, a brother of mine, I don't know if you know this brother, I can't remember his name exactly, but on Instagram, he goes by Foreign Exchange. He's big into blockchain. He posted a video. He had a bot deliver him food, like fast food. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that was my first time seeing it. I heard about it, but I never seen it. And I saw it. I saw the bot walk across the street. I saw it turn, and I saw it walk to him, and he pressed the buttons, and it opened up. You know what I mean? He's able to grab his food. I was like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. So I want to go back a little bit, right? What made you, or at what point did you create Nomadd Group? And when did you know that it was successful? Because your company is successful, right? You're doing a lot of work. You're showing up at a lot of places. You're making it happen. When did you start it? Why did you start it specifically? And when did you know that it was a hit?
Yes, so I would say we've been enrolling.
What is Nomadd? What is the NOMADD? What is that?
Yes, so Nomadd. So the regular spelling of Nomadd is NOMAD, right? But I made it like a play on words. Okay. Right. So the ultimate goal for Nomadd, right, is to basically eradicate the barriers to economic development that exist now, right? So that we can focus on building future tech-driven societies, right, for the most part, right? So, but Nomadd is kind of like a play on words, right? So, like Nomad meaning no mad city, right? Because if you think about it, and then it makes sense. It made sense like after the pandemic, right? So the city was like a mad, New York, they call it the rotten apple, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like if you think about it, like Nomad is not like a mad crazy city where everybody's on 100. You know what I'm saying? It's more of what we call like a utopian society type thing. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I came up with the concept and the name for Nomadd. And I just added the extra D on it because, pause.
Incredible. So tell me, at what point did you create it, and when did you know it was a hit?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, actually, 2021 was when its inception, and you said at what point? So that was the point I created, and then like this, when I started doing stuff in the community, right? I just knew it was an instant hit. The kids gravitating to it, the parents gravitating to it, just building a sense of community, right? We can't take this information with us, right? Yes. So we got to give it to other people so they can empower themselves, and knowledge is power at the end of the day. So the more knowledge you give out, people are able to grow from what we put out.
No, absolutely. How has your community, right? Because you get a lot of support. How has your community from the Bronx and any other place that you've been? How have they received you doing this work? Because it's extremely important. But I also know that a lot of times great work like this sometimes goes over people's heads. So how are you received in the communities that are underdeveloped or impoverished and things like that? What's your reception like from them?
It's a great question. So, like the work that we do, and the groundwork that we're laying down, the blueprint rather that we're laying down right now for our STEM accelerator, where we're offering different programs and services to communities and schools, right? Education doesn't just happen, in school. It starts at home, right? And it gravitates throughout the community, right? So the conversations that I'm having, the high level conversations that I'm having with like principals and stuff like that, educators, they understand the information, but a lot of it is new to them, right? Especially when I talk about esports and the fact that it's a varsity sport in over 10,000 high schools, and that kids have scholarships now to go to school to play Fortnite or to play Smash Brothers, right? That kind of goes over their head because if you think about the age group, they mostly, older than us, right? And they're the ones that was saying, get off them games, right? Now it's like, if I show them, hey, this kid made $3 million and at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, right? You know, playing Fortnite, right? That's real. You know what I'm saying? They could go and see that. I provide them with that information, right? Or this kid won $250,000, winning a tournament, a drone racing tournament. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, okay, well, that's on the recreation side. That's like a one in a million type thing. But then the conversation goes to, well, we pushing the not just the consumer side and the recreational side, but there's also a lot of jobs that created on the back end, right? Engineers, right? So when I speak to them about that, we already a lot of people don't know engineers, and we talk about STEM, you're talking about doctors, you're talking about all these different positions. They make over 55% income over any other regular job, right? So
Yep.
their income is 65% more than any other occupation, right? And it's the fastest growing occupation in the world, always sought after, tech jobs and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So when I have that conversation, they understand a little bit more when I talk about that side, the workforce development side, the businesses that are going to be created, right? I just spoke about like drones and like drone delivery companies, right? That's going to be a thing. Our kids are going to be those individuals that have a company that delivers food, right, via
Mhm.
drone, right, or delivers laundry via drone or something like that, right? We'll be building those companies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's incredible. And shout out to our brother, I think, who introduced us, Mattpreneur,
Yeah,
right, from South
yeah,
Queens. That's my guy,
sure.
because he, is doing the same work, similar work, and he actually got, I forgot what school it was at. I think he said 176, where he got a group of the middle age, the middle school girls, their drone safety certificates. You know
Yes,
what I mean? And so that's part of what you're talking about. And
yeah,
so I love these conversations. I love these interviews because the more we get into it, the more you see how our industries are connected, right? The more you see how connected we are and how so many of us, no matter what part of the world we're in, no matter what, small sector we're working in or big sector we're working in, that ultimately they're going to cross paths.
yeah.
Ultimately they're going to cross paths. So let's talk about, one thing you mentioned to me, I think, when we had a long conversation a couple of weeks ago. You mentioned a gaming camp that I think you did or you were about to do.
Yeah, yeah. So we're looking actually in talks right now, with one of our new tech partners, and one of the schools in the Bronx to roll out a esports camp. Right. So the goal is to run the camp, right? Maybe a month or two, from the beginning of July, end of July, and then the beginning of August, 2 sessions, right, to the end of August.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, so that will be happening this summer, and then after that, we're looking to roll out a cohort, a gaming cohort, for 150 students in one of the
Incre-
five in one of the five boroughs. So yeah, no, definitely is going to be definitely roll that out and get that going.
Incredible. Let's talk a little bit about what has been, in this journey so far since you built Nomad, since you've been in the tech space, since you're doing all this work. What has been one of the biggest challenges for you
Hmm.
personally?
Personally, hmm, time management,
Mm,
time management, right?
it's big.
You could be getting a lot done or doing a lot, right? And it may not seem like you're pushing the needle forward.
Mm,
So it's like, am I putting my time in the right
yeah.
places, or am I using my time wisely, right? It's the most valuable asset that we have.
Mm,
So always trying to be cognizant of the time that I'm spending and what I'm spending time on, and making sure that it makes sense, right? As my capacity lessons, you know what I'm saying, as we the projects roll out.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And now on the flip side, what has been one of your biggest successes, your biggest highlights for you personally, when you really felt like inside that, yo, we here, we doing this. What was that moment for you, and what was that experience like? Talk about that for a bit.
Just whenever I do events and I see the reaction on the kid's face, and or I'm having conversations with them and they get it,
Breaking up. You got some technical
Oh,
difficulty.
you good?
You there? That's you. Give the brother a second. We're figuring it out. You there? No sound. You muted. Can't hear you. You gotta it says your mic is not connected. Got a couple technical difficulties.
Here we go.
There you
You got. You hear me?
Yep, you back.
You good?
He's back. He's
Sorry
back.
about
He's
that.
back, y'all.
Yeah. My bad, man. You know how this technology go.
You
You know,
know,
it
it's,
is
I
it's not perfect. You know, it's
don't
not
know.
perfect, but nothing's perfect. Yeah. What you saying? Shook?
Your biggest highlight for you, your
Yeah.
biggest
So the
moment.
highlight is I guess I say I did a camp, I did a day camp, highlighting what are the main components needed to build out a video game down in Atlanta, right? So it's like I had a gamer truck come out. We rented out a space for the day, ordered some food for the kids, and we broke them down into groups. And basically, it's like, hey, you're going to be the producer, you're going to be the create the characters, you're going to create the storyline, right? Things and like after the kids, just seeing how um smart they were, quick thinking on their feet, and like and working together. And it's funny because when the camp started, when we started the day, like everybody was like kind of reserved and not talking to each other, right? But then we did a little icebreaker. I always like to ask, like, what kind of games does everybody play, right? Because they have to build out a concept up for a new game based on the games that they know, right? So some people play 2K, some people play Mortal Kombat, some people play Fortnite. Those are all very different games, right?
Yep.
So now you're used to playing this and playing with this character, right? So now you guys got to all come together and mesh one storyline together, right? So that's like the most like beautiful part is seeing like these kids, they got it. You know what I'm saying? Like once it started, oh, I played Madden. Oh, I played Madden too. Oh, all right. When we get in the gaming truck, I'm gonna butt your ass in Madden, right? And then what I'm saying, in there, so like that was like the icebreaker. But yeah, like at the end of the day, they present like on a whiteboard, right? Their concepts and to kind of break everything down, right?
Nice.
Just doing stuff like that, like then I was like activation like 2 or 3 that I did. But that one there was like, okay, cool. This is we gonna stick with. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna stick with the these kids gonna have their own indie game design companies, right? And that's what we're gonna do for the cohort. Kids are gonna build their own video game. We're gonna do like a year, but they're gonna build their own video game from start to finish.
Incredible, man. Incredible. Shout out to you for that work. Talk a
Mhm.
little bit about, as I'm listening to you, and one of the common themes from your interview, from Link's interview, from Matt's interview, and a lot of other interviews I've done is soft skills. A lot of soft skills are being built, right? Like teamwork, right? Like public speaking, right? Like building confidence. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you've woven that in, and is that intentional? Because just now you mentioned a scenario where at the beginning of the camp, at the beginning of the day, they came in a little reserved, not talking to each other. But by the end, they made new friends. They were more expressive. Talk a little bit about that process and how you see that working.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the pandemic did that, and then like you got kids that are like you know only kids, right? So like they may be a little bit like more introverted, right, for the most part, right? But once you have the skills, right? Once you can do UX, UI design, you can do audio engineering and things of that nature. Once you have the skill set, you still have to promote yourself, right?
Right.
Right on that end. And even if you're a gamer, if you're an esports player, a professional esports player, right? They don't just they don't just draft or scout the best players. They draft and scout the best personalities, right? That's more
Mm,
marketable, right? So you still got to figure out how to market yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? So definitely the soft skills are something that we lean on. Um, you know, how to promote yourself, how to build a personal brand, right?
mm,
Um, my first company that I ever started in 2016 was a brand consultancy.
mm.
Personal is something that that's why I call myself the brand man on LinkedIn because
Yeah.
I high on the branding, right? Very hyper focused on that. So that's something that we teach them throughout the program, right? How to stream, right? How to, even if you you're streaming online and playing a video game, you may have something that you like a script that you may want to write or
Mm,
right to keep it like even reality TV shows are scripted, right?
yep.
It's just a little bit more loose, but the producer will say, "Hey, listen, today, you lost your shoe, right?" And then just people kind of improvise, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's kind of we kind of bring those, make sure we're honing and building those soft skill sets so that they know how to market themselves, how to build a Twitch account, how to stream, what to wear,
Mm.
good hygiene, things of that nature.
Nice, powerful, 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 necessary. You know, one thing that's funny when I think about this advancement in technology, I think about you know all of the possibilities, right? Like it excites me personally. So can you talk a little bit about outside of just the on the individual side of these children learning these skills, what power does this advent in technology have on society, right? Like what can people really do with this? Not just children, but adults, people who may be in poverty. What are some of the potential when we combine all of these different skills? Like where can society go?
Yeah, the potential is immense. Excuse me. And these programs are geared towards 16 to 24, but we also, those individuals and communities that want to reskill, right? So they want to learn coding, right? They want to get their drone license, right? Which Matt is doing, great job doing, and tapping into the communities. They want to learn more about advanced air mobility and being a pilot, right? So, you know, these skills want to open up, um, you know, people's minds to different possibilities that they didn't know were possible prior, right? And giving them access to technology that they otherwise wouldn't have access to, right? Like, like 3D printers, right? How to use a 3D printer, right? How to use um, Chat GPT, right? We didn't have that, back in the day. Right now, kids and nobody's gonna be doing their homework now. Everybody's gonna go on Chat GPT, right? And your homework is done in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? So, technology, if used correctly, right, can definitely be advantageous to those that know how to leverage it for the most part. So, these skill sets, it goes beyond just having a skill set and getting a job. That taps into generational wealth, financial literacy. So it's like, cool, I can go get a job
Hmm.
doing UI design, but I could also apply that to real life skills and real life things, right? You know what I'm saying? Everyday things that people, don't think about or
No,
wouldn't think, haven't thought about otherwise.
absolutely, facts. Talk a little bit about you do a lot of collaborations, right? You have a pretty good team, right, with Nomad Group. I met you at the Better World Festival with one of your partners. You brought one of your partners with you. How important is collaboration to you? And as a leader, as the futurist, how have you mitigated any challenges that have come up in partnerships?
Yeah, so with dealing with humans, right? Um, you always have you have people that that's on board, right? But then you have people that they may not stick around too long, right?
Mhm.
But you basically leverage them, all right, or leverage your relationship rather, right? In good faith, and then always make sure that you have a good team around you, right? So like you have a good board, you have what I'm saying, that's something that's always like ever changing, if you will, right? You'll have your day ones, right? And then other people will kind of be they'll kind of come and go.
Mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So team, but building a strong team, a network of teams is of people rather that have the same vision. Like yourself, like Link, like Matt, like you make sure you have those people right to kind of keep you grounded. And just say, okay, cool. Always got those people
Mhm.
that we can kind of mastermind and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the resources that we have. This is the network. as you know, your network is your network, right? They always say that, right? So as long as you got those people, and a solid team, a build out of people that's like also passionate about what you're doing. If I have a solid team of people that's passionate about, Nomad and the social enterprise that we are,
Mhm.
and you treat people, as long as you treat people well, take care of them. It's not always about, you know, make sure you pay them and they're good, they can eat. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But if there's a purpose in what they do, right, it goes much further than just the dollar amount that they get in an XYZ.
Absolutely, absolutely. You mentioned the dollar, right? Let's talk a little bit about that. If you have any info to share.
Yeah,
Link, I think Link spoke about it, perfectly, right? Link that's really his thing, is understanding how the economic system is changing. How are you, or how have you, or how do you plan to incorporate the new economic system that's coming, with the coins and things like that, fully going digital? How do you incorporate that into your programs and into the minds of these young people to understand that the money they'll be making is going to be different than the money maybe they were, making, 2, 3, 4 years ago? Talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So yeah, you're talking about the tokenization and coins, right? So I spoke about a little bit like how the ultimate goal of Nomad is to build a smart hub and smart cities, right? So the goal through the once that's realized is to tokenize the city and
Mm,
have a token for the city, right? So like what that would look like is, hey, listen, we built you know, Nomad City, in
that's
Macon, Georgia, right? And you use the Nomad coin, right? So like, you bought this apartment or you bought a house or whatever, right? But you pay for that in cryptocurrency, right? When you go to the bank, right? We got our own bank system, right? Everything is cryptocurrency, right? Everything is exchanged through cryptocurrency, right? And you could gift a certain amount to them, right? And that's just basically that's gonna be like the build out, to kind of get people kind of say, okay, cool, well, I got cryptocurrency, right, to pay my rent now.
mm,
They get used to what it is, and we kind of educate them, right? I know Link's thing is basically simplifying all of these things that seem so grand to people, like and it's kind of like, oh well, it's kind of over my head. But
mm.
if you break it down in layman terms for them where they get it, or you create a system where they can actually use it, right now, the adoption is much easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I'm definitely adopting your term. I'm definitely a futurist. One of
Yeah,
my brothers and I, again, maybe 13, 14 years ago, right? 12 years ago, maybe, we were in Queensbridge. My brother Razor, shout out to Razor the God. And we were just talking about, creating our own coin, a black coin. We wanted to create a black coin, right? Because we knew that the money was changing. We didn't like, the way things were going economically. For us personally and just for society, we were like, yo, we want to create a black coin. And we were talking about going to the stores, going to the local stores, and giving them, like, exchanging a certain amount of cash, and letting them know that if someone comes in with this coin, this is that value. Exchange that value. Obviously we never did it.
yeah,
I was still young. I was still, like, not fully focused on what I wanted to do. Didn't really know where all of these thoughts were coming from. But now when I hear you speak, when I hear Link speak, when I now pay attention to the economic change in society, I'm like, yo, we was ahead of the game,
yeah,
right? And one thing about being ahead of the game is that even when it catches up, you're never behind, because it's like there's enough space for everybody. So can you talk about that? Right? A lot of people don't go into spaces. Wait, can you move to your right a little bit? Because it's a line to your right. Yeah, right there is good. Yep.
there,
Perfect. So a lot of people don't build brands, they don't build businesses because they say it's oversaturated. There's already a lot of people doing that. And one example I love that people come back, they say, yo, you go to any grocery store, any supermarket, there's 50 different kinds of bread and they all sell. So it's like, what is your perspective on that? Have you got any backlash? Like, oh, there's a lot of people already in the tech space, ed space. Like, what is your dealings with that? The fact that people say the market may be oversaturated.
Well, as a brand expert, right?
Brand man.
Yeah, right. So it's like it's something called brand positioning,
Mm,
right? So like back in the day, branding, right, was like what they used to do. They used to, in a literal sense, they used to brand cattle,
Yep.
right? Right. So that's kind of where the term came from, so they can know whose cattle is who, right? And then in the retail sector, branding kind of started when companies, like you just said, they wanted to separate themselves from the competition, right? So with that is like, okay, well, what's your brand positioning, right? And I
Mm,
give you an example, right? So we'll use automobiles as an example, right? So Mercedes Benz, right? When 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 somebody goes into a Mercedes Benz dealership, right? They they're not worried about the price, right?
mm,
They think that they're getting the best car, right, in the market, the best car in class, right? Because Mercedes, their thing is the best or nothing. That's their slogan, right? You're getting the best car or you're not getting nothing at all, right? Right. And then you have a company like Volvo, right? They sell cars too. They get you from A to B, right? But Volvo's, their brand positioning is safety, right? When you get into a Volvo, you're getting in the safest car in the market because we've done these crash tests and we
mhm,
got the highest rating in the XYZ. So an automotive world, though that's how two automotive companies, right, do brand positioning, figuring out what is it that you do different or that you can hang your hat on to make people buy from you as opposed to buying from somebody else. Because every customer is different, right? Of course, somebody that walked into a Mercedes Benz dealership, they have money, right? They're not worried about what the car costs. They're worried about, um, you know, social class and things of that nature, and keeping up with the Joneses, or maybe they are the Joneses, right?
mm,
Um, but someone that goes to get a Volvo, they may be a family person, has a guy that has a few kids, right, or some guy that has a son or daughter that's getting their first car. He wants them to be safe, right?
mhm.
So he knows that I'm going to go get a Volvo because they're known for safety, right? So when you're building a business, you got to build your company with that in mind. You got to know your competition, and you got to know what you're going to hang your hat on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, powerful, powerful, powerful. Over the last few weeks, as we continue to talk more and more, you shared a lot of interesting things that you have coming up, that you're working on, that you're developing. If you could just tell us a little bit about what you're excited about, in the next month, 2, 3 months. I know you mentioned you're developing a cohort. I know you mentioned the camp, July, August, September. Can you talk a little more, or if there's anything else that you're excited about that you have on the horizon?
Yeah, sure. So the partnerships that I have with the tech company, that's going to be sponsoring the camp, and it can be helping roll out the cohort. We also looking to start building community tech hubs,
Nice.
right? So what that looks like is, uh, if you think about like a community center, but with all of the latest state of the art technology, with programs to align with the technology, right?
Nice.
So like I gave you an example. We would build within these community tech hubs. There'll be maker spaces in them, right? So with the makerspace, you basically have a what exists in a makerspace, so a bunch of prototyping um, equipment, right? So someone wants to build a product, you'll have things in that makerspace that will allow them to build this product, right? A bunch of different materials and machinery and technology, right? So that'll exist for like a mechanical engineer that wants to build a roller coaster. 'Cause that's what they build, right? Or somebody that designs products that wants to build a skateboard, right? They could build a skateboard with a 3D printer. They'll have all the materials and things that they need there, but they'll also have engineers there to help them build whatever it is that they want to build. So let's say you have an idea, I want to do XYZ, right? Or if someone has a product, a hair product, right? And they say, hey, listen, I want to make this hair product. They can, there'll be a chemical engineer, right? That's there, and you
Nice.
go tell the chemical engineer, hey, I want this hair product to do this for this type hair wave, right? And the chemical engineer will make that product for you, right? So those are the type of programs, right? And then they'll also have a drone racing and building and design space there. There'll also be an esports hub there. And there's everything that you can imagine, right? AR there, VR, mixed reality in that space, right? Where you can get entertainment, you can go there, have fun, but you can also learn, you know, you know, build a business, right? And X,
Mhm.
Y.
Nice. No, that's incredible. So you've been doing this work for a while. You know, you are well positioned. You know, with your brand in the industry. What are some things that you've seen that frustrate you about the industry, about society as it relates to technology and moving towards the future?
So one of the things, and that's a great question, is tech companies trying to um, leverage right the space to kind of for their own good,
Mhm.
right? For the most part, not the good, not for society as a whole,
Mhm.
right? So especially like within STEM, right? So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? So with our STEM accelerator, right, that we do, that we pitch to the schools, right, we make sure that we're integrating lesson plans across those four disciplines. We're not just focused on one thing, like just technology, which
Mhm.
is science, right? We want to make sure they get the full gamut and they understand all of the four disciplines, right? But a tech company will come in and say, hey, listen, STEM is just all about tech.
Mm.
It's not about forget the science, forget the engineering, forget the mathematics, but you can't do that because then it won't be STEM, right? But you kind
It'll be
of
tech.
yeah, it'll just be tech, right? So that's one of the things that we see. Like a lot of tech companies will kind of want to make it about, oh, it's just about this, and it kind of that kind of waters it down and lessens the experience, right? For the end user, right? Or for people that, that actually want to learn and just kind of encompass everything.
Mhm. Got it. So I love this conversation, and I love STEM. And someone posted something in one of the groups, Black Resource Network. Shout out to them. Shout out to Leah and that whole team. I think yesterday or the day before, and it was like something about art and STEM, right? Like why is it left out? And earlier today, I was at a film. I was at a student film festival at the Learning Tree STEM Art School, right? STEM and then arts after. And I remember years ago when I first started hearing about STEM and learning about STEM, as an artist, I was kind of frustrated. I was kind of like bothered because I understand that engineering takes art, math takes art, right? Like tech takes art, science takes art. Art is weaved in everything that we do, whether we notice it or not. So, yeah, I'm just, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on STEM versus STEAM? Should it
Mhm.
be separated? Should art be a separate thing, or is it all inclusive?
Yeah, so that's a great point.
Give them a moment. You went out. You back.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I'll give you the breakdown, right? So STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics focuses on the left side of the brain. Art focuses on, I'm sorry, STEM focuses on the right side of the brain. Art focuses on the left side of the brain, right? And all of those things are an art, is an art, right? So for me, I don't leave the art out. For me, it's kind of like it kind of goes without saying, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, right? So of course we're gonna incorporate art because all of this stuff is art, right? You know what I'm saying? For the most part, engineer, they develop solutions,
Yep.
right, to problems, right?
Yep.
They're architects, and they are artists. You know what I'm saying? So even within the esports and entertainment, right? So the entertainment side is like, okay, cool. Um, that can consist of a podcast, of a streamer, that consist of music, right? Those are art. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So there's definitely art within all of the curriculums and things of that nature, but it's kind of like for me, it goes without saying. Of course, there's going to be art there. It may not be art in a sense of traditional sense where people are actually drawing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like with paint and stuff like that. But you building a character out for a video game, that's art.
It's art,
You know
100%.
what I'm saying? So
No,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's art in the sense that you're thinking about the fashion, the character. You're thinking about the face, the sizes of the face, the arms. You're thinking about all of those things. And, I'm just always gonna push, man, to just
Of course,
make sure to include up because a lot for you it goes without saying. But me just remembering as a child, right? As a child, being not being interested in technology, not really being interested, other than video games, not really being interested in some of the sciences and all of those things, not being interested in engineering at all, but I was interested in art and specifically the communication arts, right? Media, interviewing, film, photography, things like that. Those were my art lovers, what the arts that I loved. And so I'm just always gonna encourage that, man. But moving forward, brother. Again, you're doing a lot, man. You got a lot of people who support you. You got a pretty solid network, man. What are some words of encouragement or some words of advice, before we wrap it up, that you would have, or that you do have to those who watch the interview, young and old, those who are already in the tech space, those who are in the STEM space, and those who are like this is new to them?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what you're striving for, you always gotta have. I'm big on like mentorship,
Mm.
so you always gotta find somebody that's done what you're looking to do, right? You can't listen to people that because everybody's gonna want to have an opinion on what you should do or X, Y, Z. But the best way to kind of go about it, right, is always finding someone that's done what you did and they are operating at a high level, right? To kind of get to where you because they're gonna show you the ropes. You know what I'm saying? So definitely big on that. Um, putting the right people around you with the right energy,
Mm.
right? Just like the high level conversations that we have,
Yep.
right? You connecting me to Link, Matt, just having that support system around you of people that talk the same language and are that have the same trajectory as you, which is up, right? Because you can't go up with someone that's going down, right? You're gonna be going and they're gonna be pulling you down, right? So just keep those things in mind. It's not always easy to find a support system, but you definitely got to dig and network. And always every day keep the faith, and you just never know who you're gonna meet. Like you know what I'm saying. So just be out there. If you're an introvert, you can network like online. So there's apps online like business apps and stuff like that that you can find people. That for help or guidance and stuff like that. So seek those out. Um, and kind of go from there.
Nice. No, so real quick, I want to talk about something that I think actually is one of the biggest cancers in our community. One of the biggest poisons, not just in the Black community, but throughout America. And I mean, I notice it a lot in my community. I'm immersed in my community. I hear it a little from other communities, but I also know there are communities who don't operate like this. The knowledge hoarding. There are people who hoard resources. There are people who know the right people. They know you're struggling, or they know you're working on a thing, and they know all you need is this one conversation, this one resource, this one piece of information, and they won't give it to you. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's so many people who are hoarding knowledge, resources, and information?
I mean, I wish I had a, a, sh- a straight answer for that. Just some things in life I just don't understand,
Mm.
right? So like as we're on this call, and I just know the body of people that that you want to have around you that give you that knowledge that actually support you and see that you want to win. Um, I can't really put um a target on that as far as like why people do that, right? It could be jealousy, it could be they don't want to see you do better than them, right? You could say, oh, this person has a potential to um supersede what I'm doing, right?
Mm.
Or they want to dim your light. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
It's weird. Like I had a conversation with a brother a few weeks ago, rather, and I pulled up on him to actually talk about partnership, right? And I gave him some information that he wasn't privy to, that he didn't have, right? And he stopped me. He was like, "Well, if you know all this information, then you're my competition. Why are we sitting here?" Right?
Wow.
So I just looked at him. I was like, I don't, and I just finished telling you, I don't believe in competition. We're gonna make more money collaborating, right? Yeah, he don't feel that way, right? He been doing this for what 8 years, right? And then the whole time we had the meeting, he was kind of like bragging and kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like just doing extra stuff that thing, you know what I'm saying. I felt the energy was off. You feel me?
Yeah.
So and stuff like that, it's unfortunate because you see somebody else, you know what I'm saying. He way ahead of the game, right? He been doing this 8 years, you know what I'm saying. He been in this space, but he hasn't conquered it. You
Mm,
understand? He's in a space, but he's kind of stuck where
mm.
he's at, right? And I realized that as he's talking, he's trying to say, "Oh, we got this going, we got that going," but you really stuck. Like you could be a $2 million company, but you
Mhm.
don't know how to properly scale to get to $10 million, right?
Yep.
So I'm having that conversation, and he knows that I'll get to 10 million quicker than he will because of the
Yep.
information that I have, and he don't want to collaborate. And you know what I'm saying? So that's just something that it's just life, man. You're just gonna get those people. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I just need X, Y, Z, and they just, it's like I use the Lion King, right? When what's his name was falling off of the cliff, and was it Mustafa or whatever?
Remember at all.
You remember the Lion King? Well, it's a part in Lion King where Simba's father is falling off of a cliff, and his brother, who's the evil lion,
Yes.
he didn't he gave him his he like acted like he was giving him his hand, and he took it back, and
Yep.
he fell into the stampede, and he died, right?
Yeah.
So
Man.
like that's imagery and stuff that I think about. That was his brother.
So bad. Nah, it's,
Think about that. That was his brother. So, and I said that, and I used that analogy because sometimes it's the people closest to you.
mm,
You could be sleeping next to that person that night that don't want to see you win,
no,
right?
that's a
So,
fact, man.
yeah,
No, thank you. And that's why I called it a poison. Lastly, before I close out, man, I remember growing up, hustling in the streets, learning the concept, fully understanding the concept that you could be 100, you could have 100% of your own. Let's say you make 10,000 a month, you could have 100% of that, right? So you gain 10,000 a month, you lit, you good, or you could align yourself with other people who are doing great. You can get 2% of 20 million a month. What do you want?
yeah,
Right? But a lot of people obviously don't understand that logic, maybe don't have the heart. One thing I just realized is that everything ain't for everybody. And Marcus Garvey said it the best: you can't take everybody with you. Some of you Negroes are no good here. You Negroes ain't gonna be no good over there.
yeah,
So yo,
yeah.
Kev, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, man. Thank you for all the work that you have done, all the work that you are doing, and all the work that you will continue to do. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. I support you wholeheartedly, man. I look forward to seeing you again in person, breaking bread with you, man, and continuing to build this relationship, for the people, man, for our future. Yo, this is your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of the Suga Ray Show, wrapping up another phenomenal interview. You guys definitely got to check this out. Share this with your loved ones, man. Like the brother Kev said, Nomadd Group is like a utopia city. It's no madness. Everything's in harmony. Everybody's needs are met. And when everybody needs are met, everybody's in harmony. People are happier. People are more peaceful. That's how we get to world peace. So, as always, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. We all we got, but we all we need. Love you guys. Peace.
Appreciate you, man.